Hi, let's do a themed talk today. Because, like I've said, I'd like to get into motivational speaking. Not for the money, not that I would turn it down, but because I feel like I have something to say. I feel like I could help people, like I could change lives. And while my stories are generally entertaining and that's fun, I also feel like I have something on a much deeper level. So, the next TED Talk coming up near me that I'm going to nominate myself for, and we'll see if it works. The theme is On the Edge. So, I'll tell you about the edge of my two lives. And I don't mean like a past life, like some of the people I meet who told me about their past lives, and I smile and nod politely and act like I believe them. Although, to be honest, the limits of what I believe lately have been tested. Maybe the past life thing is real. Who knows? But my life pre-MS and my life post-diagnosis, they're two very different worlds. I'm not sure how long I had it. I'm guessing about 10 years, but there's no way to know, ever. But I must have had it for quite some time because no one just stops walking in their mid-30s. That's not normal. Not that my life has been punctuated with normalcy, but on occasion. So, right before my 36th birthday, I was on the edge. I had finally gotten my master's degree, for which I had worked way too long and way too hard. My friends with whom I went to grad school they had their doctorates and they were full professors. I still hadn't gotten my master's. Through honestly no fault of my own. I had dropped out after 4 years after I walked, when I realized that they weren't going to let me graduate, and I went to law school, and I failed out. And that was a really hard time for me. I felt like I'd wasted my entire life in school. I'd racked up probably $100,000 worth of student loan debt that I knew I'd never be able to pay off, when all I had were 2 bachelors in the humanities. And I met someone who told me that he had tried and been accepted to medical school twice, and financially was not able to continue either time. And it was the hardest time of his life. And no one knew about that time in his life. And I respected him for that, and I wanted to be like that. I wanted to not let anyone know about my decade trying to get my master's. But it is a part of my story. So I was finally able to get my master's after a severe depression, threatening to sue the school and literally trying to kill myself over it, because I'd spent my entire life in education. I just wanted to teach college. And everyone told me to change my topic, and my professors would let me go because they didn't like my topic. And it's true, they didn't. It was The Simpsons. But they didn't like me. And that was the crux of the problem. So, had I changed my topic, it still would have taken just as long, and then I would not have something I could be ultimately proud of. A conversation starter. I wrote my master's thesis on The Simpsons. How many people can say that? Quite a few, actually, but I'm one of them. So, it is a part of my story. And I finally got my degree. And I was looking for jobs. I had a good job. I liked my job. But I was hoping to make a little more money. And I applied at a college for a secretary type position. And the director looked over my resume and said, "You are way overqualified, but we have a teaching position. Do you want it?" "Oh, yes. Yes, please." So I took said position, but it didn't start until January. And then in December, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And then in February, I broke my ankle. And I had to finish the semester teaching public speaking from a nursing home through Skype. So all my years of hard work, I taught one term. But I'm going to go back eventually. I'm going to find another college that will take me, because education and health, they cost the most and pay the least, and I could still teach 2 nights a week and still stay on disability. Yay, that's how poorly education pays. Go America. But it is part of my story. I was on the edge of coming out of my horrible depression that I had been in for years. For over a decade, actually. I had just existed. The whole time I was in grad school, I just existed. I worked 3 jobs. I went to school. I was crazy busy. But I had this niggling thought in the back of my head all the time. You don't deserve to take up space on this planet. You have wasted your life in education. And then when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I had suddenly just stopped walking. I ended up living in nursing homes for a year. Of course, my college had to replace me, and I get it, because I couldn't teach. And then I lived in assisted livings after that, and I felt like I was trapped in the home. It took me a while to realize I was trapped in my body. The home wasn't trapping me. And soon I will be in an independent unit, which is more like an active retirement community. And my long-term goal is to live on my own again. Teach college again. Yes, it will only be for a couple nights a week, because that's all I have the energy for. Because not only do I have multiple sclerosis, I also have fibromyalgia, both of which cause chronic fatigue and chronic pain. The fatigue is actually worse than the pain. I can power through most anything about the pain, but the fatigue, no amount of caffeine can even touch it. So I was on the edge. I had just completed my master's. Things were looking up. I was going back to being a workaholic. 3 jobs like I like to do. But then 4 words changed my life forever. You have multiple sclerosis. I literally had an out-of-body experience because my brain couldn't handle what I was being told. And for the first year, I was too sick to even be bored. But then the second year, I was right there on the edge again. Not so sick that I couldn't be bored, but too sick to do anything. Like you constantly have the flu. You want to get out and do stuff. You're going stir crazy, but you can't. And your body's achy and all the time. I was on another edge. And then I started my YouTube channel, starting it off with talking about the people I meet, because I meet some weirdos. They just come up and tell me things. And then I got in trouble at the home, and they told me to separate my personal life from the home life. Yeah, I don't really have another life. I didn't actually work there. I mean, I know. Sometimes I pretended I did, just as a coping mechanism. No, I lived there. And I was in denial about having to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life. But when I was first diagnosed, I had a very strong feeling that I would be. And I fought against it. I tried really hard to walk. And that's when I broke my ankle the first time. And then again, I broke it a few months later. Completely shattered it. Broken so far back it was touching the calf. I looked like Gumby. Yeah. I couldn't admit to myself that this was my reality. This was my new normal. Because I'm a workaholic. That's who I am. That's what I do. And suddenly, my entire life was stripped from me. My jobs, several friends. As it turned out, I don't need friends who, if they're inconvenienced by the fact that I'm in a wheelchair, well, I hate to break it to you, but it's kind of a bigger inconvenience to me. My ability to walk, I never thought about the cracks in the sidewalk before. I never had to. I literally forgot how to walk. I had to reteach myself. I never thought about walking and breathing at the same time. I have to now. And I'm doing a lot better. I'm doing really well, actually. So here I am on another edge, where I admit this is my new normal. And I'm finding productive things to do with my time. My YouTube channel, the books I've published, the books I'm going to continue publishing, the friends I'm making. And I do sleep a lot. But that is a productive use of my time. So here I am on another edge, admitting to myself, this is my life now. And you know what? Contrary to my earlier opinion, it's not over yet.